What's up, people? Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Well, I can't complain, man.
No?
Another
Yeah?
beautiful day above the ground.
Yeah, I hear you.
Could have woke up on the opposite side.
Yeah, a little bit windy today, though. The desert does get weather.
100%.
To be honest with you, I wasn't one of those guys that ever thought that. Coming from Colorado, you get like 4 seasons in a day. And I'm like, the desert's always hot.
No, we get 4 seasons in a day sometimes too, but most except for snow, we don't get snow.
Yeah, no snow. I miss the snow a lot. Well, I mean, I'm excited about this. I want to jump it off and say, like, you know, obviously getting a relationship with you, starting this up. This is extremely exciting. Punches and Pints, you know, episode 1, Mach 1.
Yes, sir.
Here we are.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
The start of a new era.
I know. I mean, let's reel it in. Let's tell the people kind of like how it started, right? We had a good friend, Kyler, come in. Jamie was cutting his hair across the street. Kyler comes in. You know, we're talking about, you know, the seltzer and everything of how, like, sometimes when you guys, MMA fighters, you guys, like, you know, want to have a drink, knock off the edge and everything, beer kind of blows you up. And our stuff is light, it's natural, refreshing, but it also has, like, higher alcohol content. So he's just like, whoa. So Kyler gets half lit while he's sitting here, like, I mean, half lit. And then he just starts FaceTiming everybody, and you were one of those guys.
And I'm one of them.
Yeah,
for sure.
and he was showing you this whole place. I mean, he even walked you into the bathroom. Yeah. I think I almost had to stop him from getting into the kitchen.
Yeah, I thought you guys were best friends. I literally was like, hey, he must have known these guys forever. He was like, oh, they're family friends, yada, yada, yada. I was like, bet. It's like, here's the phone.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I'm talking to you.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm literally FaceTiming you, and I was like, maniac? What do you mean? What does maniac mean? You know? And so that's how it kind of started. And then brought up the fight with you, right?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we got that fight started, and then we reached out. I knew how we talked to you and wanted to set up an after party. And again, like the seltzer was like right on brand too, because when I do drink, I want to drink something that's extremely tasteful and has good alcohol percentage, and I don't have to drink a whole lot because I'm not trying to get too full.
Right.
So that's just my preference. So it was awesome to run into you that way, and then for Kylie reached out, but we got the fight party set up. Came out after the win, and you know,
the win,
partied all night. You know?
Win, the dub,
the dub.
That uppercut.
Yeah, uppercut to that right hook. You know,
bam, smacked him. And I'm not gonna lie, I loved the fact that it was a guy from the Diaz brothers gym. That is legit. It
was pretty cool. It was kind of cool to be in that, you know, to have that little bit of hype behind it. It's funny because he was reminding me so much of like Diaz himself, Nate in particular.
Really? Yeah. Why is that?
I think like, you know, you hang out with a lot of people, things start to rub off on each other, you know.
Ooh, okay.
And I think that, you know, a lot of Nate Diaz has rubbed off on him, and you know, he wanted that fire to come in, so he came in with that very much Nate Diaz attitude, you know.
What did he do? What was the attitude?
Nothing too crazy. I mean, right when I walked up to him, I mean, maybe it was crazy for him, but right when I walked up to him to shake his hand, he like smacked my hand out the way. And it was like, it was a pretty good smack, but I was like, okay, that wasn't too crazy, but smacked my hand out the way and was like, oh, you talking shit? got in my face, but not really, you know, kept walking the other way. And then they tried to pick on my training partner, Talon, too, him and his team. So I was just keeping it cool because I knew we were going to fight, and I knew what I was coming to do, you know. And if he was going to bring that energy, I was still going to come up there. It didn't matter to me. I wasn't coming with any different type of aggression. It was the same amount of aggression that was going to come, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty funny. Pretty funny how it all played out.
No, that was great. I mean, we had the watch party here and everything like that. So kind of going through that part, watching you kind of lay that kick. Well, actually, let's talk about that first kick, the one that missed.
Wait.
The one that you like missed and you like hit the ground.
Oh yeah. No,
I'm not gonna. You put your whole ass into that 100%. One, man.
He was running. He was going away. So I honestly was like, all right, I'm getting my highlight head kick finish. But I was just a split second too late, and I let my leg go. Yeah, and I slipped. I was like, oh man. You know, honestly, I didn't think about it in the midst of it. I've slipped in a couple fights though. You know.
Have you?
Yeah. Like I don't know. The canvases are kind of slippery sometimes, and usually it's off of a kick or something. But I mean, or even just hit the lettering wrong when you have some sweat on your.
Oh yeah.
And I sweat pretty good. That's another thing too. Like everybody who knows me, like I'm a profusely sweater.
Are you?
100%.
So the letterings in the ring is kind of slippery.
Sometimes it just depends on every different
like a
organization. It's not a sticker. It's like a velvet. Some are like velvet. Some are like I don't know if it's a plastic substance. I can't think about what they are, but each different organization uses different companies to do that that flooring. So
interesting.
different ones are different ways. So I've slipped in a couple different though.
Oh,
Honestly,
okay.
I've had a cage be broken right before I went in there and fought too. If you look at my fight with Roddy Mandala, like I didn't think we were gonna fight because we were in the back for like 45 minutes waiting for the cage to get fixed, and then finally go out to the cage like, hey, make sure you check the middle because it's broken. So I go out there and like I jump in the middle, and they're like, well, I think people thought I was just doing that, but I was checking to see where the cage was broken at.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah,
man, I didn't know anything went down like that.
100%.
Yeah. So the big W, you got the uppercut. Coming back here, we had the after party. Great after party.
Yeah, it was definitely a blast.
Family.
I honestly, there's way more people that showed up than I expected. You know,
it was packed in here.
100%.
And then turned you on to the alcoholic slushies. Mm-hmm. Those were nice.
Oh yeah, that's what I want every time.
Oh yeah, man.
Every time.
Post fight, post victory slush.
Yeah, I'll take the seltzers too. They're great too. But yeah, those slushes, hands down the best alcoholic slushie in town. You know, I'll put my money on it.
Money, you hear that? We put the money on it, and we're doing a thing now too. We're actually topping off the seltzer with the slushie.
Oh really?
Yeah, call it Coach Q.
I haven't been in a couple weeks.
We're doing some new stuff. Secret menu stuff, though.
I'm going to have to stop in and see what this Coach Q is talking about.
Man, I'm telling you. And honestly, you're kind of catching a different part of at least my demographic. Let's say here, with kind of like the company-wise, we're kind of looking in a direction we never thought we'd go, right? You kind of like, alcohol really doesn't mix with athletes that much. But, I mean, I don't know if it's like inconsiderate to say, but they're like, we don't think that'll be like the demographic.
Yeah. Or I don't know how that works though, because if you look at any of these organizations, NFL, NBA, they all have an official. They all have an official alcohol. Dana White has his own alcohol brand. Conor McGregor has his own alcohol. Masvidal has his own alcohol brand. Yeah, I'm trying to get on these cannabis brands though. That's what I'm trying to do.
I'm gonna get one of these seltzers infused. Maybe we'll throw that out there.
Yeah, no, 100%. That sounds good. Infused seltzers. Yeah, some CBD infused seltzers. I'm down.
Hey, I'm in too. Yeah, kind of relax you a little bit, kind of see what that's gonna go like.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I've never had one. I don't know what I do with one, but I mean, I'll let you be the test on me on that.
That sounds good. That sounds good. It does trip me out that is a stigma though, right? Like I don't drink that much, mostly because I just don't like the feeling of having to get up in the morning and go train and all that stuff. But when I do drink, I like to drink. I like to enjoy myself, and most fighters do too, and most people do, right? It's like balance is everything,
Sure.
And all the things you do. So you should balance your life out to the way where you can drink when you want to drink and enjoy whatever you're drinking.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, let's stay on that topic of balance. Your life. I mean, just from getting to know you, I think your balance beam just I don't think it tilts. I think you just have like 20 different balance beams, right? Because you're like, I'm telling me you're going to be like a professional skater. And then all of a sudden now you're getting into MMA and everything, right? So, and then I come in here to this after party and like some people were telling me like, oh, it won't be that bad. But we had a stacked room in here. So to me, with kind of like how the community is with you, like let's just say you and your party, when you have someone like that, when you adapt a culture or when you adapt a new hobby or now with you a profession, passion, a career, I want to hear about like your community of how you think that's evolved, at least MMA or fighting. How does that evolve your community and kind of like your outreach?
Like the balance part of it? Yeah. I mean, that's a hard thing to balance for sure. And I think like you said, it doesn't teeter, and I have 20 different balancing beams teetering, but all my balance beams are teetering like this. Each one of them are, and hopefully that day I can try to balance out as much as possible, but I'm usually 70-30. It's just I think it's how it goes when you do so many things, when you're a jack of all these trades, but I knew that I wanted to do all the things that I wanted to do, and that I was going to do them. This life is too short for me not to, and obviously I try to make the best decisions I can and do them in the right order and get to where I can, but balance is a hard thing in all things that you do, and it takes a lot of focus. So for me in general, my wife helps me balance things out for sure. Just because she's more organized than I am, and I'm more of a say I'm going to be doing it all and not organize it and just make it happen. And when the day comes, we'll figure it out.
This guy's all over the place. You want to talk about evolution of an athlete, man? We got this guy cooking show, we got him skateboarding. Now this. Yeah. So I honestly thought I was going to be a professional skateboarder long before I started. I didn't start training until I was 21. So and that's why I tell people a lot of times too. I had already had
3 kids by the time I stepped into the gym.
That is insane.
So I had 2 kids and 1 on the way by the time I stepped in the gym to actually think about fighting. And I had already been a semi-pro skateboarder. I had been competing in different competitions. I was constantly out. You know, I had a bunch of different sponsors in the skateboard world. And it's funny enough, my granddad, he passed away now in 2019 at the beginning of the COVID stuff. At the end of 2019, right when COVID was about to pop off. I met him when I was 18 years old, and I was a hardcore skater. Like, I was dedicated to skating. I thought I was going to be the best skater in the world. And I met him on his deathbed at that time, which he wouldn't die. He actually stayed alive then.
Stubborn old guys.
It was supposed to be his deathbed, but stubborn, strong bastard, you know.
Great. Oh, yeah, man.
Great.
Men of all men.
Just a man, you know. And honestly, I didn't know him that well because he wasn't really involved in our lives, but just a great man, you know. But I met him, and the first thing he said to me when he's on his deathbed is like, boy, you need to be fighting, you know. And I was like, what are you talking about? You don't know me. You know, like, you don't know anything about me. That's weird that's the first thing that you said to me is fighting. And then I ignored him. I didn't want to believe anything he said. I was like, I don't know you. You don't know me. I'm happy. I'm here to see you. I'm happy to see you before you pass. But I just came to see you because my mom thinks you're going to pass. And I went back to skateboarding. And then 3 years later, I find myself in a gym taking my first amateur fight. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That is wild.
Like, it blows me away. He didn't know me. He didn't know anything about me, but still knew more about me than I knew about me.
That's wild. And especially to see where you evolved from now. I mean, a feat that I think is, I don't know, insane. You're 6-1, 6 finishes. That is bonkers. I mean, talking about, like, you know, you can imagine, obviously, you get into like street ball or whatever, and you're like, oh man, I could do it, you know, or I could do this. But actually stepping in the cage with a game plan, with, you know, a background of just prepared, like the preparation behind it, right? Like, even watching film, conditioning, and sparring with your buddies, and learning these new tasks. And, like, honestly, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're actually like training for your own weaknesses, right? I mean, from at least from what I gathered from before, your weaknesses probably scare you more than your opponent does sometimes, because you know what those are, right?
Yeah, that definitely plays a part in it. And I do think about my weaknesses too, because they're part of the game, right? You got to know your weaknesses so that you know where you can be exploited at, you know?
Yeah.
I try to focus on my strengths. Like, I try to train hard at my weaknesses as well, but also try to focus on my strengths and don't doubt my strengths too. And I think that's something that has separated me too, because I'm happy and blessed to be 6-1. Like, I never thought this too, be pro, have went pro after the things I've been, you know, after how my career has been since going amateur. It's been kind of crazy. It's a crazy story, and I'll probably get into that more, but I appreciate it. But the other part of me is like, man, I just expect more. I expect more for myself, even when I'm surprised that I've been able to do this, you know? It's such a weird place to be.
I can imagine.
Where you feel like you're going somewhere, but you're nowhere near where you're going yet, you know? So not to get caught up in the story too much, you know?
Amen. I mean, I'll just kind of jump on this side with this place. I never expected to do anything like this, and kind of being in the position I am now, it created a hunger for me, you know, kind of seeing how fast and how, like, honestly, ever evolving this industry is. Us little brand, we can't really keep up with that. So how do we adapt? How do we keep going? How do we find ourselves in a niche? I mean, and with us, it's like, well, the easiest thing, start off in the community, start off small, like, you know, attack the goals that we can attack first, and, you know, just stay in our own lane.
100%. What made you guys? What made you come out here and attack this industry, or your industry in this market, in the Arizona market, especially like around this area?
I mean, Arizona's, I mean, in our opinion, I mean, we've done the studies, it's extremely active state. A lot of things start here, right? A lot of companies do, but like our brand in particular, unless you're like a diehard seltzer fan out there in Colorado, the months between October and April, extremely cold. You know, you're not looking at it. You want to do like a brandy, a whiskey, tequila, something like that. The weather, you know, demographic, it fits us perfectly out here. Plus this community itself in Arizona, very proud in the community, and everyone's extremely active. Everyone's extremely supportive. And I mean, it's just my opinion. Since we moved out here, it was kind of hard for us at first, me and my fiance alone, but everyone's so damn nice here. I don't know how you can be upset in 70.
Yeah.
You know, like the sun is out. I don't think I've ever got more sun exposure than here, ever.
That vitamin C. Is that vitamin D? Vitamin D. My bad. Vitamin D. I always think, I don't know why I always think vitamin C.
Yeah, you'd mess up a lot of words.
100%.
Things like vitamin S, sun.
Vitamin S. No,
S for sun.
That's exactly what it is. Vitamin C for sun. Wait, what? No.
Vitamin D. Yeah. But no, man, we enjoy it here. And honestly, just within, like I said, me and Adriana moving out here the 24th of February last year, and we didn't open our doors until April. Our lives have just been completely, and it's just Adrian and I with the company and a business working with partnerships. We had our hardships on that aspect of we have no time. The company's in its infancy stages. We're here every single day.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. So, your schedule too, you got to think about, how do you fit? I was thinking about your schedule too. How do you fit that in? You wake up, right? You go to the gym, or you do your morning routine, go to the gym, and you probably come back. You probably got to, rest up, go with the kids, attend your wife.
Well, kids are usually at school. All of them are at school. Wife's at school too, because she's a school teacher as well. But
is she?
Basically,
that's awesome.
Basically, wake up with them in the morning. Wake up around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and make my tea, get my supplements going.
Yeah.
Maybe take the dogs on a walk, hang out with the kids before they head over to school. And maybe I drop them off sometimes. It just depends on what our schedule is looking like, because I try to get to the gym by 8. I'm usually at the gym from 8 to 11. Get out of the gym.
Before the gym.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Get out of the gym, come back. I got to let the dogs out, feed the dogs, eat my own food, and get a little bit to rest.
Right.
Back out to the grind, training again, 3 to 5, 3 to 6 sometimes. Might come home for an hour. Then go head up to Vasa, hit a sauna, hit a run maybe,
What?
Yeah, just
3 to 6. You do a 3-hour session?
Yeah, it's, a lot of times we do 3-hour sessions.
Really?
Yeah. For the most part, it's usually 3 to 5. That's our pro team, 3 to 5.
Okay, yeah.
And then if we're done from 3 to 5, use just 3 to 4:45. Get that 15-minute break, and then there's a kickboxing class, or there's a jiu-jitsu class that's right after that, or I'll hit up a quick strength and conditioning.
Really?
So by the time I'm done with that, 6 o'clock is rolled around. So I've been at the gym 3 to 6. I always just about at least 2 or 3 times a week. I'm there 8 to 11 usually, because I get there at 8.
Whoa.
Have our first striking class at 8.
Yeah.
And then 2 jiu-jitsu classes or strength and conditioning added to that. So I'm almost never out of there before 11 o'clock.
That is wild.
Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, and then Friday I come in, I do a 9 to 11, and then also do another 2-hour workout later on. So
that's wild.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
So recovery for you is a big deal. Has to be. Otherwise, you break down, your body ain't never going to get up after that.
And I've been feeling it lately a little bit, just because just been grinding out. Yesterday I missed practice. Shame to say, my coach hit me up.
Oh, coach.
But he hit me up though. But I missed practice yesterday, and I always beat myself up on those days. But Monday I was fixing my truck, built a new gate at home. Dude, I did all this stuff, and
trying to have personal Marcus life too.
100%. But it's those are the times I'm doing all that. I'm not resting. Should be resting. We got family in town, so we're building or helping or doing this. My aunt, my grandma, my mother-in-law just moved and got a place, so we're helping over there.
Yeah.
Plus training. It's all these things happen. Plus playing ball with the kids. It's
kids.
You have to take
kids
yourself. So tell yourself to chill out, relax, and get that rest time in, because it starts to add up, and it's just the energy levels. Funny thing is, I got this watch, and it'll let me know if my body battery, it's a Garmin, and it charges your body battery. So I've actually got to see me get a full night, 10-hour rest, and wake up and still only hit 62% body charge, just because I was depleted so far.
No way.
Just consecutive days. So it'll tell me that day you should do nothing today.
What?
Which I never believed it. I'd heard stuff
that's crazy.
A couple different other workout spots are doing different scientific tests that show that that you're more beneficial not training on days like that. On your rest days, the days that you should be resting, it would be better for your overall training.
Really?
So I didn't really believe it at first. No, you got to train through it. But I do think there's a lot of substance behind that.
That's interesting, especially in the science and evolution of an athlete. Then. Right. If you have all this information, you have, the Garmin there, you kind of have your schedule and everything like that. Then I guess that helps you become, like you said, instead of fighting through it, kind of going through, some of those parts where you're I should just go through this, pass through this, or, get to that point where we're like, oh, don't be weak, like mentally, like, you know, do this or whatever. But like you said, it's actually more of a hindrance to kind of your development as an athlete to push through something like that, you know. And
100%.
I mean, with that kind of technology, and I guess kind of your adaptation, and maybe I'm going to say maturity wise too, that it helps you become a little bit more of a better, well-rounded athlete then.
Yeah,
right?
no, it absolutely does. And so that's why I just got to listen to it all, you know, kind of listen to it all, take the bits and pieces, because there's also a lot of nonsense that's getting thrown in there constantly, you know, but got to take bits and pieces of all of it, you know, and just kind of analyze it, take what works for you, and keep moving with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then when you talk about personal life, I mean, you and I were kind of going through it. I mean, even just to say like that competitive edge, you know, I'll even throw it down in like bowling.
Mm-hmm.
Like my fiance, the girl is filthy at bowling. I love it, you know, and we were talking like mostly things that you like.
Where'd you meet your fiance?
Oh man, that's a cliche story. That one's gonna be for like the heart throbber, you know, thing. But I actually met her at a I don't know if you call it really a dive bar, but just a bar in Pueblo.
Okay.
Very cliche.
Okay.
The moment I saw this woman, just
love that first sight.
I know.
A lot of people don't believe it, but it's true.
It was you had to be there. Honestly, she's like just so for the viewers out there, she's super hot. I way out kick my coverage. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to expedite this marriage so that, like, you know, it kind of can be like lock her down, like signed, certified, stamped, you know, you ain't going nowhere, you know, type of thing. Yeah. So back in Colorado, man, we've been at it. I mean, I knew she was the one from the get go, and yeah, the easiest thing I've ever done. Like, you know, like had a couple of the buddies, they were just like, you know, even for, like just asking her to be my wife, like, you know, forgot a lot of the speech, but I was not nervous. I was just anxious to ask her, but, I couldn't be more confident in anything like this, like, you know, and it couldn't be more blessed, truthfully. I'm 31. I mean, I'd never been married before. I don't have any kids. And I couldn't be more positive that this is the one for me. Yeah.
That's awesome to hear, man.
Yeah. I mean, yours. I mean, yours. I mean, you got wife, kids, all of them. Like
the whole nine for a long time now, too. Crazy. Yeah, me and my wife met in high school. So
high school.
Yeah, I moved up to a pretty nice area. One of the nicest areas I had stayed. It was Anthem, and met her in high school. I was a savage back then, though. You know, savage. We would have known that we'd be married, and 4 kids down the line. And, you know where we are, because we've been married for about it's coming on 8 years now. So
8.
April.
Man,
April will be 8 years. But we first started dating May of. The first time we did it, May of 2006, you know, so since that long we've known each other and been a part of each other's lives.
2006, so. Man,
2006, crazy, right? Too crazy. I'm 32. We've known each other and been together more than half of my life.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah, and the time goes. That's why sometimes, like, I was looking on Facebook, you know, you go back to Facebook and start looking 10, 12, 15 years ago, and you start
Throwback Thursday, man.
Start to be like, man, there's a lot of stories I forgot about here. There's a lot that's missing. So, yeah. But yeah, that's where we met in high school sweethearts. So
when you say savage, is that kind of like she's your counterpart in that aspect 100%. Where she's not, or she's just a you know,
100%. She is way more level-headed than me. She, you know, I always tell her she's the 1%. You know, she's the 1% because it astonishes me, just like the self-control that she's always had, and like, you know, she knows who she is, and I haven't always known who I was. You know? I've had a lot of times where I had to figure out who I was, become different people, and have taken on different things, but she always knew who she wanted to be. Basically, she already had it together, so she always was in her lane, and me never. I was always all over the place.
Really,
it wasn't until I was about 24. And a bunch of crazy things happened to me, and where I was like, you know what? I need to settle down.
Yeah.
I need to be the man that I want to be, you know? And yeah, sure enough, after that, she moved back from North Carolina. I was here. And then, we got married shortly after that. And
really? Man, that's crazy.
Everything's been great since. So, you know, just been trying to grind it out. But yeah, that's what I mean. She was definitely always better than me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess just kind of from like an outsider's perspective, like, you know, I would think it'd be a little more grueling. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal here, but like my industry right now, it's so demanding, especially being like, you know, operator, owner. there is no home life right now. And I think that's probably the hardest part for mine and Adri's relationship right now, is being a legitimate workaholic, right? I mean,
you both have to be at this point, right?
I mean, I push her off and I make sure she stays home. You know, she gets a couple days, and I think she did like the calculations or something like that, and it was like in the calendar year that this place has been open to the public, and that I have not been here was like it was like maybe 5 days, like
total, like total. You mean full out for all the hours in period.
But just like, you know, like didn't show up, didn't like, you know, but it was open, you know. And one of those days was I was back in Colorado picking up my sister to bring her here to work, you know. And that's been the hardest struggle for us, is because Adri also works here, and trying to find quality time, trying to find that balance. And we talk about balance beams, right? Like, there is no balance in my life right now on that aspect. And
how could you balance it right now? It's got to be unbalanced right now, right?
Honestly, truthfully, is to trust the people that I put around me.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what I was going to say too. Like, cause I mean, and I even understand that too, because like, again, April is when it's going to be a full calendar year, right? So you're about to hit that. Yeah. So that's a short amount of time for any relationship at all. So even if you have a great team behind you, you know, it's still at a point right now where it's like, no, we haven't built we haven't built that moment where I feel comfortable enough to be like, all right, take my step back and things are gonna run, you know. So I can understand where you
give me anxiety thinking about that right now.
100%. You'd be at home freaking out the whole time.
Yeah.
But I can imagine, you know, like you said, having the right people around you over time and really building it and letting them all set into their places, that you'll really be able to have that time. And then that's where the balance might be able to offset at that point. Maybe you put this work in, and, you know, once you and, you know, and your wife are going to start, you know, looking to have a baby, and maybe that time comes perfectly where the balance happens. You get more time with your family, and the restaurant's running smoothly because you put in the 5 years ahead of time. Sure. Now you're out in Tahiti with the fam, you know?
So, that'd be nice. Man.
I mean, that's balance too, though.
True.
Like, I don't think balance is going to be a everyday thing, right? It's not going to be it can't even be an every week thing, right? You just got to try to balance out your life in general. You know?
But no, truthfully, and it's also like we talked about, like the team part, right? I mean,
huge. Let's
switch back. I mean, you got to have a team around you too. Huge. I mean, obviously your family and everything like that. But let's talk about specifics on, like, you know, like your kickboxing. I mean, you got to go in there. If you're going to the gym for 3 hours,
huge.
Each one of those minutes has to be directed. It has to be concentrated. I mean, you got to have guys around you that are
doing the same thing,
like masters at their craft, right?
Having guys around you that are after the same thing that you're after, becoming the best version of yourself, right? Because then you miss a day of practice, you miss 2 days of practice, you are falling behind. It's like, and that's just, and it, however you milk it, that's just what it is. You come in and it's striking, and then you get beat up, and you're like, oh man, you know, man, if I was here, maybe I wouldn't feel that way, you know? So you're just having those people around to push you and let you know that no matter what, you're going to have to step up to that plate daily, because they're stepping up to that plate daily. They're putting extra work in, and it's a beautiful thing. So having that around makes it easier for you to push that way too. I mean, I'm not the only person showing up at those times, and we give each other shit about it all the time, just letting each other know, like, hey, I was there at 8 o'clock this morning. Where were you? Oh, you weren't here.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
that's good. That's good.
Just friendly competition, but not malice, right? It's just like we want to see each other be the best that we could be. We want to see each other reach all the goals that we set, and those goals are so high and so hard to achieve that it's going to take that work. And the same thing with you for your team here, like, you know, for you to be able to have that time to put into your family, your team is going to have to be super strong. So where when you're not here, you have not a doubt in your mind that even if the place started burning down, they could fix it. Yeah, they would be able to handle whatever situation came to it, and you could be with your family. Right. You know,
I mean, I'm thoroughly just kind of like amazed. I want to keep going on your MMA side. I've never just been a big fan of the sport and everything like that, but even from back in Colorado, heard about the gym that you train at and all the names that are going through there. I mean, how is that gym? I mean, how did you get connected with that gym?
Nuts. So I trained at the UFC gym, which was the LA Boxing. That's where I first started training. I was trying to get in the military. I was working at Circle K on 35th Avenue and Greenway. And I was trying to get in the military, going to college, skateboarding. I was going to GCC North Campus, which is
What is GCC?
Glendale Community College,
okay.
North Campus.
Okay.
Yeah, so their North Campus is probably from 35th and Glendale. It's probably a good 12 miles. So I was skateboarding to the bus stop that took me up pretty close, and I would skate like another 8 miles to the campus. Then have to do the same thing to get back home and back to work. So just trying to go through all that, and all of it wasn't working out. Ended up at the LA Boxing, which Randy Stanky and Joe Riggs and a couple different guys from the lab were teaching there. Sugar Shawnamoli and Tim Welch would eventually come over as well and be there. I met Sugar when he was like 18 years old. It's crazy. Them coming up. Yeah, because Tim was there.
That young?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because Tim was coming here, and Sugar just moved out here with Tim. And Tim was teaching at the UFC gym. So he had come over to the UFC gym too all the time. And that's where I was at. Through that whole time, I had taken a bunch of amateur fights, and I was doing pretty decent in amateur. I had knocked a few guys out, and it wasn't going too bad. And they had told me like, "Hey, you need to go to the lab," and I didn't listen. I really wasn't taking it serious yet. I took it serious in the aspect of like I always took training serious. I always took being able to defend myself serious, but I didn't take the career part of it serious at that point. I just was fighting. I didn't think I was gonna actually be amounted much as a fighter. But eventually I would go to another gym, which my old coach, Aaron Favor, was starting up. It's called Dog Pound. I helped them build it out of a garage. And we were training hard out of the garage. It was only like 5 guys for like a year. And then after all that kind of went down and a lot of our fighters moved back to where they came from and things split up, me and Talon, which was one of my original training partners, went over to the lab. I had already met Coach Crouch at 2 of my fights because he had fighters fighting in local fights too. And,
nice. Yeah.
We walked in really, hey, we're just trying to get on the fight team. And he already had been to a couple fights. He was like, yep, seen you guys fight. I've been at your fights. Show up to practice.
We're down, really.
That's my biggest thing. Be at every practice. And from there on, it was just
kept going with it.
Just kept going with it. So I've been with them about 7 years.
Okay.
About 7 years. So through the old facility and new facility. And yeah, like you said, a bunch of famous faces in there constantly, and they're just my brothers and sisters. But Jared Cannonier, Sugar Shawnamoli, Kyler Phillips, like you are, you already know Kyler, Mario Bautista, so many guys, and so many guys that the world doesn't know about that they're gonna know about real soon. Including me,
including the Maniac.
But it's a beautiful thing to be a part of, and it's kind of blows me away that that's where I get to train every day, and the people I get to be around. But yeah, it's an amazing thing.
Well, from at least like getting here, and I didn't realize at least a lot of the sport was getting this big, especially into the community. I mean, since you guys showed up on the scene, like you, Kyler, and everything like that, there's a bartender next door, little Jacob. He's saying that he has gone to the lab a few times and knows you guys. He's looking up at you like you're a titan, which I agree with, right? And he's just like, dude, like being around these guys and seeing all this, like the MMA community, at least into like just what I call this, like the civilian world or whatever. How do you think, like, at least with that gym, your outreach and everything that you guys are doing, how do you think it's impacting the community? Because to me, it's impacting my community just in this complex already. And a guy is like, I want to be the best bartender I've ever wanted to be, mostly just because I'm training with these guys. I think
confidence, right? I think that it's not like an ego confidence, right? Especially when you're training with people like the guys that we train with, like Jared, like Mario. Like you run into these guys and you realize even Suge, Suge is a G, and he's a very he's out there. People think he's like the superstar, but Suge is also the most down to earth real person.
Really,
you know what I'm saying? He's a real person, and people they think that that's all a show, but he's a real person, and. If you ever meet him out in the street, you'll genuinely enjoy him,
Yeah, that's cool.
So I think when you run into that many people and you're training with those type of people and you're seeing how they conduct themselves, where they're not out here to hurt people, they're out here to build people, they're out here to build community, they're out here to do better things, do great things.
Yeah,
I think it changes your mindset on like who you want to be, because like a lot of people growing up that you looked up to were like the cool guys, the guys that were rocking the best clothes, but also kind of just jerks. They didn't really, they didn't care about other people. They didn't care about things like, they kind of were self-absorbed. Like you kind of looked up to a lot of those guys that were always trying to flash, but not really give back. But MMA is more about like authentically being who you are, flashing what you are, but also building community and building the people around you and being confident in all the things that you do. That's where that whole poser thing changed for me in a big way. Once I was like, oh man, I can be whatever I want. I can be a skateboarder, a fighter, gymnastics, I can do whatever I want to do, and I'm still I'm still the same person, like regardless of what anybody thinks. If they think I'm scary, if they think that I'm handsome, if they think that I'm fast, whatever they think it is. But I'm just gonna authentically be me, and that's what mixed martial arts did for me, and I think that's what it's doing for the community overall. So letting people be true to who they are because they're confident in who they are. They're confident in what they're doing, the work they're putting in.
I like that. So we kind of like, at least from an outsider's perspective, we kind of got like a sense of having, I don't know, like talent, Kyler, you around. And I mean, I don't know, you guys kind of walk with that kind of confidence. You guys kind of walk with that, like, you know, type of swagger. And is that kind of like the way that kind of like at least going through with like the leadership of maybe on that fight team? I mean, is there tiers? Are you guys just all in it together? Is there really kind of like a thing where you are looking at each other like to hold each other accountable to make sure that this fight team is staying like in the direction that it should?
Yeah,
you know,
I think it's tiers. I think coach is the real one that's overseeing all that, but it is us as well, right? Yeah. And it's us, like for me in particular, right? Like I don't have a fight camp right now, and I did miss I did miss yesterday's practice, but I'm gonna make sure I'm there today to give whoever needs rounds today, right? Not because I have a fight and I have rounds coming up, but they have fights and they have rounds coming up, and giving them the best look that they can get is gonna help them do better in their fight and get closer to their goals. So I think holding ourselves accountable, which coach tries to help tell us the same thing, holding ourselves accountable for our teammates, right? Like, yes, he's going to battle by himself, but we're behind him, and everything we're doing in the gym is what's pushing his skill level to be more than prime for that night.
I got you.
I think that's a huge part of it, right? Yes, team, it's holding each other accountable, but holding ourselves accountable to be there for our teammates.
Right.
And guys like Mario, guys like Jared, guys like so many guys, you know, those are the guys that like push me to be there, even when it's not for me, right? Even if that's it's not, because I haven't taken like a real break, and I've been telling myself that this is my first year training, my first year without working, right? I haven't even hit it yet. April will be my first full year.
Is it really? All right.
I ended up losing my position at the place I was at after 7 years at the end of March of last year, March 24th. So April was like my first real no paycheck month. You know?
Oh man, that's crazy.
100%. So
how's that been? Like you know, I mean, let's just say from the top becoming a fighter, but then really kind of whole year without that.
It's not been easy. You know, a lot of people think that this is a money making business, but it is not. You know, we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in to not make much money. And at the point right now, I have a lot of faith in the fact that I'm going to make up for that on the back end. Right. I'm going to get to the UFC. Right. I'm going to get some of these $50,000 bonuses. I'm going to stay in the UFC. And that's the plan, right? But at this point in the matter, we're not making much money. So and again, I have grown people bills.
Sure. Yeah.
So between my mortgage and my truck payment, and my wife's van payment, and so many different things that we have, and 4 kids,
grown man problems.
So we've been blessed and able to make it, and I had some great support behind me to help me in this essence. Yeah. And without that, I wouldn't have been able to do what I've done so far. But I would say it was a great year. I did take my first loss, but one of my good friends also told me right after the loss, like, and pointed a really good point out to me. He was just like, hey, you know, out of all the great things you've said, never once did I hear you say you wanted to be undefeated. And I was like, oh man, that was huge for me, because I was a little hurt. You know, I was like, man, I wanted to at least stay undefeated for a while just to get further along, and I did kind of feel like, man, this is putting a halt in my plans. And, you know, you kind of get beat up for a minute, but then I was like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to be the best fighter in the world. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to see just how bad I am. Yeah. I'm here to see just how bad I can be, and that's what I'm here to do. And I'm here to change lives if I can in the process. So for me, that was huge. That kind of got me off my little pity party for a minute. It was like, all right, on to the next. And then to go finish 2 other guys, you know, pretty viciously, and keep that knockout streak going. I was like, all right, cool. Well, you know, this is what the plan is. I'm just gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep chipping away at the block. You know? I
did see those videos of like the vicious knockouts, and if anyone's very curious, you should go watch those. Those knockouts are awesome. Yeah. Especially on your social media, right? That one, you said that right hook one.
Oh,
is
yeah,
on your social
the
media
last
page,
one,
right?
Luciano.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Or my YouTube page. There's we have a couple different videos on my YouTube page, but that Luciano one's not on that one.
Oh, it's not?
Yeah. I think my favorite...
Or was that one on the phone that you showed me? Was that the Luciano one?
Luciano's on my Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
So if you go on the Instagram, you can find that one. My Maniac McGee.
Yeah, that one. Oof.
But
that was a good one.
That knee too, the ape cell.
Oh,
that knee, that one was pretty nasty too, dude. You know, so
do you feel that? Like if you throw like a clean knee, right, and you just catch that dude right on the button, you feel that on your knee?
I guess I do, because I knew it. You know, I knew it right away. I knew it when the fight was over at that point.
Really?
I kind of do. Like, I don't. It's not that I know it because that's like, oh, I hit him so hard. It's just like, it's a moment where energy is just like, where you can just feel like the energy is just gone. You know, like the energy of the other person.
That's wild.
Just left, right?
What?
It's weird. It's a weird.
Oh man.
Feeling.
Okay. That touches a whole nother different side of this, like, fighting world that I am very curious in. You feel another man's energy leave
that's
from a knee in that split of an instance?
I feel that's
with
what
all
I feel.
The adrenaline, everything that you prepped up for, and you can feel another man's energy gone.
100%. Yeah, I can just feel like the energy, the fight, the will, that like the whatever that is, the will, the fight will behind it, like that energy, it's like leaves the air. You know, it's crazy. It's a crazy feeling.
Oh man, that's gonna be
especially when it's after every knockout. I feel that way, where it's just like, it's like all that energy that was in front of me is now gone. It's like crazy. It's crazy thing.
That is wild.
And honestly, I don't get like the kick out of it like that, where I'm standing over him like that. You know,
very humble. You are very humble.
Weird enough, right? Weird enough. I don't get why I don't have that side of me. It's like I want to be that vicious, but like once it actually happens, it's more like no, don't be that. Let it calm, like, you know, it's more like a subdue the warrior. You know, like that's my mentality. You know, is like, you know, subdue all the craziness and the wildness. Like it was like pure intent, I guess, at that moment. So I try not to really to feel that way. I'm like, all right after it's done, you know, and
you accomplish your mission.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm not any better or worse. I just accomplished my mission, you know,
man.
So that's just how I feel about it.
Post-fight interview, I mean, everyone was just like, how is he, like, you know, you were just a savage in there. You were just
that's acquired over time, because if you go back to I'm gonna do a post here soon of my first pro fight, which was a main event fight too. But it was a main event fight, freaking, and I just go off. He's like, he gives me the mic, I go off. I'm just going off. I'm too loud. I'm too obnoxious. I want $1 million.
No, so you look at yourself like foolish. You're like, I can't do this to myself.
It was still, I caught myself, because I was like, oh, I got a beautiful family, but I'm like just super loud, super obnoxious, right? Just like energy level way too high, right?
Yeah.
And not too high. It's like I just got done knocking a guy out. It's my first pro fight. I'm super amped, you know. It was a really bad knockout, and I'm just going off. And then just looking back is like learning how to take that same person and taper him down to something more refined, still that energy,
right,
but more refined and direct, right?
I like that.
More direct towards something, opposed to just kind of like, oh, that's just a big energy, you know?
Sure, yeah. So. I like that. I know that, like, for us, we're dimming down, but I would say at least one on this aspect, loving it here, talking to you, going through some of this stuff, and I know we kind of go through a certain amount of things, but going from us establishing a connection, having us go through this spot, organically grown to where it is now.
With the best nachos in town.
Oh man, the nachos. You have no idea. The nutritionist is coming on next. Please don't tell him when I feed you here, because I don't need him being mad. Be like, you're the guy.
We're gonna have to add
you're
that.
The guy.
We're gonna have to add that to the questions. Like, hey man, how could these nachos be more nutritionless?
How do nachos and alcoholic slushies? How do they fit into Marcus's diet?
Can you put that in there? Throw that into the nutrition app.
Right. So that kind of goes through, at least for this first episode, just touching base.
Yeah,
like, you know, letting the people know who we are, kind of what we're gonna go through.
100%.
Yeah. Second one, we got your nutritionist coming up, right?
Yeah.
The nutritionist guy, so he's gonna kind of break it down for us and kind of what he goes through with you and some of the clients and stuff like that.
Those are some of the things I'd like to get into. Also, you know, just finances and skateboarding and just as much as we can, you know, about the culture, really, because the culture of, I guess, middle-aged America, young America is just booming, right? It's just it's such a different place than it was even 10 years ago. Looking up from being 20 to being 30 now, like
we're next in line.
100%. You know, so it's like, what are we gonna add? What are we gonna add, and what can we add to the generation coming?
Perspective. I mean, if we could say that, at least. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we're just gonna give like, you know, a perspective on it, and kind of at least be a little bit more elaborative on like our side of truth on what we really see. Like, you know, I really don't have like a filter on that aspect, but being able to touch like some of these subjects from a different side of different industries, but then, you know, as men too,
100%.
you know, we got
mental health.
mental health. It's a big thing.
Huge.
Massive. I really want to see how this is going to work, and I feel like, you know, we can have a good outreach on this and be able to tell the people, show the people a lot of that.
Yeah, going out to the community again. I'd like to even touch topics that, you know, some of our base is talking about. You know, some of the base people that are around us. Like, what do they want us to speak about? What do they want us to be talking about? You know, kind of touch on subjects that maybe we didn't even think about.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
Yeah. If you guys can comment down below, that'd be awesome. Comment down below and let us know exactly what you want us to be talking about. What's a good subject that you think we should be bringing up? What's important? What's the things that the people need to hear? We're the people's people. Yeah. So let us know.
Yeah, we'll be open. I mean, everything that we go through, we'll touch on. I mean,
no controversy stuff though. Yeah, I'm just joking. No, that's fine too.
You can. We don't mind.
Just comment it nicely.
Just kind of throw it out there. You don't go after my boy Marcus here, because then, you know, you can deal with the wrath on the side.
You heard. That's my bodyguard.
That's right. I don't know how much protection I'll give, but
don't tell him that's my bodyguard.
Right. But yeah, please leave your comments, questions, reviews. We're looking forward to it. We're looking to build this relationship between us and then also with you guys.
100%. So, and then you can find me on IG. You can also find me on Twitter, Maniac McGee. And then, we can
mine's at Brett Anthony M. We're really not on the scale that this guy is, but if you're, you know, looking for a little more low key kind of, you know, plain type of guy, you know, that's where I'm at. You know, you can see my dogs on there, my truck.
You're gonna see a lot of that on mine
fiance,
too.
Yeah, I'm not doing kick flips and, you know, spinning back kicks and roundhouses like this guy is, but, you know, a little more low key
content.
Yeah, there's wicked content on mine. Yeah, but right on, man.